Thank you, Director Clark. We are live.
Thank you.
Morning, Karen Playfair.
Morning. Sorry, I'm late. Zoom was giving me grief.
No worries. We're going to give Jackie a couple minutes and then we'll start. Actually, considering that we have quorum now, oh, it's only 9:02. My watch is a couple minutes fast. I still think we should just go ahead and call to order. So I'd like to do that, to call to order at 9:03 a.m. of the NEDI meeting. And the first order of business is to approve the agenda as circulated. Could I have a motion to that effect, please? Moved by Barb Weave, seconded by Director Demare. Anyone opposed? Motion carried. And here comes Elris, Ms. Jackie Rasmussen. Good. I should recognize, I should have done this after the call to order, to recognize that collectively we are on the unceded territories of all the First Nations within our regional boundaries. And Jackie, welcome. We have approved the agenda, and next item is Johannes, to welcome him from the chamber for their presentation. Johannes is the new executive director for the Lillooet Chamber of Commerce. Soon we have him in the waiting room. Coming in, magic. And there is a short presentation in your packages that I believe Johannes will be addressing. Good morning, Johannes.
Good morning. How's everyone doing?
We're good. We're here. I have my coffee. We're looking forward to your presentation. I was just so very impressed when we had our meeting about kind of all the positive initiatives that are happening and that you're part of, and there's some good synergy. And I just thought it would be a very good opportunity for the rest of the Northern Economic Development Initiative Committee to hear about. And so we're all here. Lori Hopful is not here today, but I do believe you'd know Sal Demare, and you'd certainly know Jackie Rasmussen and Karen Playfair, and of course, Barb. Staff here from the SLRD is our new CAO, Craig Dalton, and Philippa Campbell, as well as Patricia Westerholm. And we do have Kristen in the background helping with technical. But I think with that, Philippa, are you running Johannes' slides? Would you like to see?
It should be visible now.
They are. And I'll be quiet, Johannes, and turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you all for inviting me here. This is great that I get to meet the team with the SLRD as well. So today I just had a very short presentation. I won't be talking for very long. I prepared just overviewing what the chamber is and what we do and our plans moving forward. And then I'm happy to take any questions or comments or concerns or anything like that. So let me just start by acknowledging that I'm calling from the unceded territory of the St'át'imc Nation. And I'm often reminded that what that means is to think about my relationship with the land and how I act on it and with it. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So a quick chamber overview. So the Lillooet Chamber has been fairly quiet for the last couple of years, partly due to COVID, partly due to a lack of funding and resources. But beginning of this year, we've really worked hard to reestablish the Lillooet Chamber as an independent and resourceful organization in Lillooet. We have rebuilt our membership. We've rebuilt our mailing lists. We've rebuilt a number of business resources. We've rebuilt our funding, as well as our strategic direction. So you'll see this is from our this slide is from our strategic plan that was done a couple of years ago. So that is up for renewal. But in general, the goal of the chamber really is to build a strong business community in Lillooet and to provide services to businesses. And that's everything from advocacy and promotion to education, networking and connection making, as well as some other benefits and member-to-member saving programs, which we're going to start at some point soon. So if we go to the next slide. So our team right now, it's actually growing, which is very exciting. We have a board of 6 and myself as staff, all representing different businesses or community organizations in Lillooet. There's Deborah Neufeld, who's the accountant in town, Rolf de Bruin from Fort Barons, Sam Quinlan from Lillooet Brewing Company, Andre Kurbis from Community Futures, and then our newest additions are Bain, who used to be with the Lillooet Chamber, took a hiatus and now is back. And he represents Timber Mart for us, as well as Farmer Chomitz, who's the new heritage manager of the Lillooet Museum. And then myself as paid staff. So our board is volunteer, and we meet about once a month to discuss everything that I am doing and that I ought to be doing. And working hard on building the chamber. The board's role really is to provide strategic direction and a high-level overview to myself. Okay, next slide. Perfect. So I'm just going to quickly overview some of the things we're working on, and I'm happy to elaborate on any of them in particular. But one of the very first things we did is we revamped our website, and we're still building it, but it's starting to look really good. The point of the website is to be a landing point to the chamber, as well as to provide several resources, like a business directory, which we're building, as well as some of the provincial business resources from Small Business BC and Expert Navigator and some of these other organizations, as well as a bit of an overview of what Lillooet is and a bit of a selling feature, if you will, for Lillooet. So if someone is considering opening a business, hopefully they will find our website helpful. We've also started sending a monthly newsletter, and this we're on our 3rd one now, and this has been going very well. We've received very positive feedback, and the idea really is to just summarize everything that's going on in and around Lillooet and everything that is relevant to the business community here. So we will post all of our projects and initiatives on there. We are now hosting regular events. We've hosted 3 so far. One on insurance, one upcoming on Excel, and then we had a social event as well that was quite fun to attend to. And that is our plan going forward. Every month we're aiming for at least one, but we'll see how that goes. And then lastly, business advocacy. So that is something that's important to me. And that's important to businesses. It's a big value that Chamber can provide as an independent advocacy organization to the district mainly, and then through our provincial body, the BC Chamber of Commerce, to the province, and we meet with them every 2 weeks. And there's lots of discussions that are quite detailed about some of the municipal and provincial projects that are ongoing. Okay, next slide. And then lastly, one of the notes I'll just make is Vivian and I have been chatting about some ideas, and these are just mere ideas that I came up with. But we are one of the things that I'm trying to do with the chamber once we've built a solid foundation ourselves is to start reaching out and creating several partnerships across the region, and we've been making some good progress on that. This is one of those initiatives with the SLD, but we've met or I've met with everyone from various other chambers to community developers to a Gold Country Tourism Association, Triple CTA, all sorts of other organizations. And there's a variety of things that come out of that. And broadly for the SLRD, some sort of areas that might be of interest could be general business or community engagement in Lillooet. We have a fairly strong business space so far with many engaged businesses, and we intend to grow and strengthen that. As well as Vivian has let me know that there's an OCP update, which I've gone through that process in Squamish. I know it's exciting and terrifying at the same time. So if any input is required or if any public engagement is wished for, then we can help with that in the Lillooet area. And then, of course, regional tourism and economic development. So something outside the district boundaries. And I have some ongoing conversations with some community developers who are interested in a more regional approach to tourism and economic development. So that is a conversation that I'm more than happy to have with the SLRD team as well. Generally speaking, I think this year is going to be a very good year. We're coming out of a pandemic. People are excited to have events again. People are excited to see each other, work together, work on new projects. And so I think a lot of good things are going to happen this year and in the next coming years. And so with that, I have one more slide that's just a thank you slide, but I'm happy to take any questions or have any discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Johannes. And I'd be really grateful if you tell me how to pronounce your last name.
It's Bodendorfer. I'm originally from Vienna, Austria, came to Canada about a decade ago, 2013, so 9 years. Yeah.
Well, welcome and welcome to Lillooet. Bodendorfer. Okay, got it. And yes, the Area B OCP will come up for review. First, they're going to do the Area A, which is Sal de Mere's area, and I would be pleased with your participation and help and contribution. So thank you for that offer. I see Director de Mere and then Barb Weed. Go ahead, Sal.
Thank you for the presentation, Johannes. I see that you have Andre Kubrius on the board, and as you know, he lives in Goldbridge, and he's part of our economic development River Valley Community Association ECDEV committee. And there has been some discussions previously of our area joining into this. Have you guys had that conversation yet?
I don't think we've had, so you mean the Lillooet area to join the Fraser Valley Economic Development Zone? Or?
No, the Bridge River Valley Community Association.
Oh, joining the chamber.
Yeah. No.
Yes. So Andre and I haven't talked about it directly. So that is something that that I've talked about in general to my board. Something I've tried to tell them is that I want to spend a little bit of time and resources on Lillooet and make sure that we have a good solid base here, and then start reaching out to some other communities to figure out if there are services that we might want to provide to them, or something that the Lillooet Chamber could do for other communities. I've been reaching out. I'm in conversation with the Lytton Chamber of Commerce, for example, but recognizing that from our end, it's sort of an offer, but we don't want to take over projects that might be ongoing right now in those communities. And so I've been reaching out to various communities, and I'm sure Andre, being on the board, he'll let me know when there's a good opportunity to get involved.
Okay. The other question I have, this committee, have you looked at any of our documentation and what we're all about?
In my conversations with Vivian, she has introduced me a little bit to the committee and to the work. I haven't fully delved into all the aspects. I read the agenda, so I see some of the different organizations that you work with. But I'm happy to hear more about some of the details.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of a northern region, SLRD Northern Region Economic Development Committee, and that's I think if staff or Vivian can share the terms of reference, and we did an exercise with Melanie Helmer, CEO Melanie Helmer, where we prioritized from a full economic development Northern SLRD study that was done on economic development, and we prioritized from it. And later on, I'm going to propose that we review that prioritization at our next meeting. But it'll give you a really good context, just those two documents, the terms of reference and what we prioritized, which is public.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
It'll give you a good idea of what we're all about and trying to do things that'll benefit the three communities with Area B, Area A, and District of Lillooet. But it also includes a lot of Statlium input also. So thank you for getting it going again. That's good.
Sal, would you like to request that staff provide those two documents directly to Mr. Bodendorfer? I just want to try and say it right.
Yes, that's
Sure.
okay.
As attachments.
It's that, yeah.
So I think that's a very good idea. And I think Director Weave, you had a question or comment?
I just had a comment. I'm really impressed with what you've done with the chamber. It's just, it's really nice to see that fire lit again. And you seem to be moving forward. And I also sit on the Gold Country board as their secretary. So I will be meeting with you and Brandy tomorrow at the bakery. Love their brownies.
Great. I look
Yeah.
forward to that.
The benefit package that you put forward, and it's just amazing. And I've been in touch with Aaron, and so Gold Country is joining the chamber tomorrow. And then, you know, to be able to get benefits for our 2 employees it's just hard to explain the difference in the office over there, that we can offer them more than just a paycheck. So, and I think that's so important for small business to be able to do that through the chamber. So thank you very much for what you've done.
Yes, and absolutely, and I'm more than happy to. And so my background is I worked for the Squamish Chamber of Commerce for a while, and so I'm a bit familiar with the sort of chamber network. And the benefit is it's a fairly established network in BC, and so there's an ability to get all the chambers together from different municipalities and have a provincial voice and a provincial body with some weight. And so we're able to negotiate things like a benefits package or an insurance plan package, which is going to get reviewed, by the way, but to make it better than it is now. We're able to sit down and say, hey, you know, we have a network of over 100 chambers with X number of members, if we sit down with, say, the Johnston Group or some big insurance company, we actually carry some weight, which is nice.
That's excellent. Do other directors have comments? Do I need to make a motion just to have those 2 documents sent on to? No, okay, that's just a routine request. Thank you. 2 things I would like to mention. I don't recall if we talked that much about Lillooet agriculture and food when we met, Johannes, but that's probably the biggest sort of exciting economic thing that's happening in Area B, and we're currently working on establishing a service to support Lillooet agriculture and foods, and hoping that the District of Lillooet and the local First Nations will be in support. Area B is certainly there. It's at the top of my list of wonderful and important things I can do. Actually, our previous CAO, Melanie Helmer, is going to be giving a presentation on that at this meeting shortly. If you'd like to sit and listen to it, you'd be welcome to. And also the request for membership for Area B that you put in. I just wanted this group to hear a little bit more about the work you are doing. And I'm very much in favor of, I'm not sure about, I mean, definitely we'll get a membership and provide some support to the chamber from Area B. I will be doing that at the next area directors meeting. So yeah, I appreciate very much the work you're doing and want to contribute to the success. It's good momentum.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think one of the things we've worked on, or that I've told my board very early on, is I would like to take the chamber out of the grant game, because I think it doesn't mean we will not apply for grants, but I know that sometimes nonprofits can struggle a lot with chasing grant after grant after grant and never actually developing the organization, because all you do is chase and then report and chase and report. And so we've been working on building a bit of a financial base through our membership fees, and we're able to do that. And so, you know, a lot of the things like the newsletters and the events, we're still offering that to everyone who's interested in receiving it, with the recognition that, of course, you know, it's not free to do things like that. And so there's a little bit of an extra benefit when you sign up, and you get discounts and all sorts of things. So yeah, that's how we've been able to build a bit of a base.
And then I don't think you mentioned it, but you've got a little working office space at the hub. Yeah.
I do. We did rent space there. Kim created a co-working space in Lillooet, and it's been a phenomenal success. I believe there's something like 4 offices and 7 organizations sharing those offices. So I think that is a model that is definitely replicable, and it's a great model.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. And with that, I would like a motion to receive that report from Director Demare. Thank you, seconded by Director Weeb. Anyone opposed? Motion carried. And as I said, Johannes, you're welcome to stay and listen. And thank you very much for your time today. Consent agenda number 4 is our next item. And the only item under that is confirmation and receipt of minutes from our last meeting. Would someone like to move the consent agenda, or do we have something to, okay, moved by Jackie Rasmussen, seconded by Karen Playfair. Anyone opposed? Okay. That covers the consent agenda. Is there any business arising from the minutes? I don't think so. Not seeing anything. Good. Now, item 6, staff reports and other businesses. This would be over to Craig Dalton, our CAO.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, everybody. 2 quick points. The first one is just to confirm again with the board that the intent, or the committee rather, the intent is to hold the next meeting in Lillooet in July. Ms. Campbell and I was going to accompany her, were to head up there this week, and she was going to coordinate and facilitate a test to make sure that technology would work and support remote participation from that location. Unfortunately, the weather got in the way and we weren't able to get there, but the intent is still to shoot for July.
Thank you.
Anything to add on that, Ms. Campbell?
No, I mean, we are still intending to do a site visit and a test, and certainly the outcome of that will, may determine whether we're able to do it. I appreciate the District of Lillooet has been using the facilities, but we need to make sure it's going to work with our particular setup. I'd also pass my thanks to District of Lillooet staff who've been very helpful in sort of the work to get that happening. I do understand that a resolution is needed, I believe, CAO, to set that
Oh, okay.
location, I believe.
Okay.
And so, again, but it's, based on the site test and the availability, I think we would be looking for, we'll be set in room 201 at the rec centre in Lillooet.
Okay, good. So then if we, Madam Chair, if we can get a resolution then stating that the intent for the next meeting, for the July meeting is to hold it in Lillooet, that'd be great.
And we did have some discussion about canceling that July meeting, but regardless, a resolution for the next NEDI meeting to be held in Lillooet in person in room 201 with live streaming. Is that wording adequate? I could make that motion.
I think we should, sorry, through the chair, I think we should incorporate the intent for that, but based on the site visit and any outcomes from that potentially. If it's just thinking that if it's determined based on the site visit that maybe there is not the capability to do this with our equipment or some other potential.
Okay, just a question, just make understand this correctly. We are absolutely required to be live streaming now, right? Like we don't go back to the way we used to have the meetings just in person with the public welcome to attend in a central location. We can meet in person, but we also have to be live streaming it. Is that how we're proceeding as the SLRD?
That's a good question. I don't know if anybody here can answer that.
Pretty happy to just meet in person and welcome up.
Yeah.
I think it's,
Sorry, go ahead.
sorry, I was just wondering if I see Kristen is muted, but she is still showing up. I wonder if she's available to answer that question.
Why don't we get you an answer to that question? If we can, and I don't think we need to complicate a motion. We just need a location. So if we can just get a motion saying that the committee's intent is to hold the meeting in July, we'll go away and do what needs to be done to see if that can happen. And if that was not to happen, then we'd let the committee know when we take the appropriate steps. I think at some point and I have to confess, I'm not sure what the latest provincial direction is on this, but I think the idea obviously would be to go back to face-to-face meetings. What I don't know is whether or not there will forever be a requirement to live stream. I don't know, and that might present us some challenges, but we'll confirm that for you.
Thank you, and I see Director Demare.
Yeah, personally, I would like to see live streamed. And if we do that, then at least, the people are used to it now. It'd be a shame to go away and move away from it. So I prefer to be live streamed. And again, to be able to do Zoom also, so we don't have to be there if we can't make it, especially in the wintertime, coming from our area.
Right.
Thank you.
I hear you loud and clear, Director Demare. Philippa?
Sorry, just another thing I think we need in the resolution is the starting time, because that would potentially be different to what we have been doing here as an all virtual meeting.
Thank you so much. So resolution should be that for our next NEDI meeting, we will be in person with the start time of 10:30. Meeting in room 201 at the Lillooet Recreation Center with live streaming and Zoom capabilities. How's that? I'll move that. Seconder, please. Director Demare. Is anyone opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Chair. The next item I have is just to inform the committee that Ms. Westerholm will be taking the lead of staff support to NEDIC with her economic development hat on, and that's excellent. So at the July meeting, she will take the helm. And lastly, I'd just like to Johannes just to say it was great to see the presentation from the chamber today. I've just had tremendous experience working with chambers, great community partners, and just want to reinforce the message that was given by a number of committee members that from an organizational perspective, we're here and look forward to working with you in any way that we can. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, CAO Dalton. A motion to receive that report, please, from Director Wiebe, seconded by Director Demare. Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Okay. 6.2. Lillooet Agriculture and Food Society, a presentation by previous CAO Melanie Helmer, who now has a new title, Strategic Projects or something like that. Anyway, she's working on importance of Lillooet agriculture and food. And I will stop talking because I see Melanie arriving. I did see, oh, there you are. Good. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you, Chair Birch Jones. Good morning, welcome. My name is Melanie Helmer, Director of Strategic Initiatives, and I am here today to talk about the information report that's on the agenda for Lillooet Agriculture and Food Society for a proposed service area. So as probably a lot of you know, there's a long history that led to this item that's on the agenda here before you today. Back in 2013 and 2014, there was a working group that was a collaboration between Area B of the Squamish-Lillooet Regional District, the District of Lillooet, and Statliam, Northern Statliam First Nations, all active partners in what led to the development of a two-phased report on an agricultural plan. The first part was looking at the current state as it was then, and the second part was looking forward to what kinds of things, what recommendations did they have for supporting agriculture in the Lillooet area. One of the things that came out of that forward-looking piece of the agricultural plan was a recommendation that the working group evolve and morph into some form of continuing support to agriculture in the area. It was recognized that in the Lillooet area, agriculture and food security, that whole topic is really one of the foundational economic development pieces, and that agricultural use of the land is the highest and best use. And there was a strong desire to support a strong and vibrant agricultural economy and food services. So that working group led to, in 2015, the establishment of the Lillooet Agriculture and Food Society at that time. They've continued to be active ever since then. And if you look at the link on the staff report, it's going to lead you into a lot of information as to what they've done and what their plans are. And they continue to be an important contributor into the agriculture sector in the Lillooet area. So initially they were being funded by discretionary grant funding. In 2019, the SLRD board passed a resolution that staff look into service establishment to provide ongoing sustainable funding to the society. And at that time, well, some work was commenced, but we headed into COVID and everything was kind of put on pause for a while. Last year, that thread was picked up, leading to a couple resolutions, which are also included on the staff report. And the most recent one being in November of 2021, to look at having that service established, inviting Lillooet, the district of Lillooet, to be a participant in such a service, and reaching out to the Northern Statliam communities to invite them to be involved, to continue their active participation in that sector. So I think that kind of captures that piece. The service establishment at this point, there's really a desire on the part of the SLRD to find out whether the district of Lillooet is interested to be a partner. That invitation has been extended, and there is going to be consideration of this topic at an upcoming meeting on June the 7th with the district of Lillooet Mayor and Council. So I think that's that basically touches on it. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Ms. Helmer. And I see Jackie Rasmussen, who was instrumental in the initial work on this. Go ahead, Jackie.
Thank you, Director Helmer. I'm so pleased that you're working on this and that we're moving forward. It's exciting that this has gone beyond the plan, and we've had implementation of this plan by the Agriculture and Food Society. We've shown success that with the not-for-profit model and the support the SLRD is giving them, that this is moving forward to implement this plan. It just didn't sit on a shelf somewhere. So I just wanted to say thank you, because this next step is really key to continuing to implement this plan that the SLRD initiated. Just a couple of things that I see as really important as background information sitting on the table as the chair that created that plan is the fact that while the Statliam were definitely involved in the creation of the plan, it was somewhat limited. We had Lillooet Tribal Council representation, and we had some Statliam Chiefs Council, Statliam Government Service staff. But beyond that, the plan was not necessarily endorsed by individual communities, nor was it endorsed by Lillooet Tribal Council per se, like officially. So while it is a Statliam plan because we had involvement from staff, we still have a long way to go and a lot of work to incorporate and involve the Statliam. So going to them and asking for contributions may not be the right, we're not at the right phase of that particular, so I don't want anyone to assume that that was like full endorsement and then the next step for them would be, because with the District of Lillooet, that was different. Like it was endorsed by the District of Lillooet. It went through like mayor and council to switch governance here. And so whereas with the Statliam, we didn't get that far. So in my mind, the work that the Agriculture and Food Society, they're doing in hopefully complementary to the work that the SLRD is doing or will be doing with Statliam. So this sort of process to establish relationships and get involvement is really important. So making, long story short here, making sure that we have the service agreement that will support at least the Agriculture and Food Society and their work on the ground with Statliam to work with them and the objectives that are in the plan and get them maybe to endorse, but also to work with the SLRD and their staff and the work that they'll be doing with agriculture and with Statliam in a bigger picture. So those are just some of the key things I wanted to pass along as far as that goes. I think I got it all. Sorry, it's a little bit long.
No, that was very helpful, Jackie. And I know Emily Jones, who's the new executive director of LAFS, is listening in today because Tricia and I, made sure that she knew how to do that, partly to hear Melanie's presentation, because we'll be doing this again with the district bar. You'll be hearing this again on June 7th, probably with quite a bit, maybe more detail of the nuts and bolts, depending on what the council thinks. But we also are trying to reach out to the Statlium, and Emily has done some footwork there, including trying to get us on the agenda with Tribal Council. And we're optimistic that would be the first Friday in June if they can fit us in. But also at LAF's AGM, which was yesterday, very recently, we also mentioned this initiative and the fact that it would be helpful if board members, first of all, we want to be aware of where we were at, but also to solicit their help in reaching out to some of their First Nation partners or directing Emily to where the best linkages were, because we definitely need their awareness for starters, and support. Hopefully there's no taxation service, obviously, but we still want it to be an active partnership as far as possible. So we'll just do our part, I think. And I believe that's the way that Lillooet Agriculture and Food is approaching it. So
That sounds good, Vivian. Just to follow up with that, I don't know if Jim MacArthur is still active staff. And if he is, he's the right person to go to, because he was the one that worked alongside me. And if you're going to Lillooet Tribal Council, he was on staff. I would suggest, because he would know the historical background and how he was trying to take it to the Tribal Council, and where that all fell out. Because making the presentation going to Lillooet Tribal Council, I don't know. Yeah, that'll be a little bit tricky as to how you're going to present this, because there hasn't been, even my experience with LAFs, we've had some things moving forward. There's been some workshops in the communities and things like that. But as far as like the political awareness, and this is like a government to government kind of conversation. So as a not-for-profit coming to the table, I want to caution that this might be a government to government conversation that may need to happen first.
thank you. Thank you very much, Jackie. And I see Director Demers' hand. And Barb's after that.
Thank you, Ms. Helmer, for the presentation. This question is for Vivian. Just looking at some of the documentation, the tax service would be for all of Area B. Would that include Seton? So I'm just wondering if, like, some of the fire services that we have, there's a designated area that on a map that tax service is for. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've talked to the residents of Seton Portage there and to discuss this. So I'm just throwing that out, and even up in Pavilion Lake. So it just, because what I read there, it was going to be for all of Area B. So that whole conversation, I think, needs to be had also. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Being a very simple-minded person and the Area B director, I just assumed, I was always thinking the entire Area B. However, recently we've had some issues around the mapping of service areas and whether or not people, yeah, that definitely bears a little bit more thought. Noted, right? Melanie will quote that a bit more, but yes. And Director Weed.
Yes, Jackie did kind of answer my question there, because I know that this was discussed at our intergovernmental meetings with Jeanette Naden, and we were doing some work there. And then I think everything just got dropped or stopped or whatever. And I think it's really important that when you present to Mayor and Council here in Lillooet, that that piece is put in there, that we know that there still needs to be discussions with Northern Statliam and whatnot, because it was a little misleading. I thought maybe I missed something when I was reading the report and, you know, where it included them. And I thought, okay, did I miss something here that they're on board? And, you know, that's the way the presentation led me in my mind. So I'm really glad that Jackie brought that up. And maybe this is a pre-jump as well. What happens if they change those zoning areas in your part of Kamloops? That's been on my mind a lot lately, and I know that that's probably an economic driver that they see coming down the pipe. So now we'll take this area and move it over here, right? Yeah.
I don't know what you mean.
Well, there's talk in government there about Area B. It came up at our Gold Country meeting, actually, about Area B and whatnot being rezoned into the Kamloops area rather than the Squamish-Lillooet regional whatever. And I'm like, okay, I know you can do petitions and letters and all of these things, but I'm not that naive to believe that that will change what they decide they're going to do. So yeah, it was just in the back of my mind, but I really appreciate Jackie bringing up that part about the Northern Statliam. Thank you.
Okay, as far as I know, Area B is staying with the SLRD in its current form. That's all I'm saying. And I'm going to move over to Director Demers' comment.
Yeah, it's the federal ridings. And we're included in it also. To the new, I think it's Thompson, Kamloops, Thompson region. Yeah, but it's federal. It's not provincial.
Thank you. I think I would like to have a motion. Are there other questions on this presentation from Melanie Helmer or comments? I'd like a motion to receive it, please. From Director Weave, seconded by Karen Playfair. Thank you. Alternate director, it's too many syllables. Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. And I'm really looking forward to presenting this and talking more with the District of Lillooet and some of our Statliam partners in the future. Thank you for that. The next item, 6.3, is a decision, and we'll probably have Jeanette beam in, or Patricia, would you be covering this one? Yes? Oh, here comes Jeanette. Okay, welcome. And we're just getting to item 6.3. Welcome, Jeanette. Good morning, nice to see you. And I'll just turn it over to you.
Good morning, everybody. It's Jeanette Naden here, Communications and Engagement Consultant with the SLRD, presenting a request for decision report regarding the 2020 BC Rural Community Development Grants for electoral areas A and B. The recommendation is that we contact the Ministry of Forest Lands, Natural Resource Operations and Rural Development and return the two project development grants that were awarded to the SLRD back in 2020 to develop a business plan for the Hailmore Heritage Site in Area A and to develop a heritage protocol for electoral area B. Both of those grants were in the amount of $10,000. They were awarded in 2020 The SLRD applied for the grants back in 2019 as part of the Rural Dividend Program. The applications were developed based on conversations with the area directors at that time. And the Rural Dividend Program was canceled, but the ministry kept the applications on file. And when COVID hit, they repurposed some of the funding for rural development grants. And so we were advised in 2020 that we had 3 project development grants that had been approved, 2 of which are applicable to this report. And I've talked both with Director Demare and with Director Birch-Jones. And in the case of Area A, Director Demare has been in conversation with the Bridge River Valley Community Association. Their Heritage Committee is the group that's overseeing the development of the Halemore Heritage Site. A feasibility study was developed back in 2017, and it included a fairly basic business plan. And the Heritage Committee has confirmed that they have been moving ahead as time and resources allow to implement elements of that business plan. But their current priority right now, and probably for the next couple of years, is to continue working on the capital project to renovate the Braylorn Mines Hotel. Sorry, I don't have my report in front of me. I can't remember the exact name, but there's a plan to renovate that hotel and then move the Braylorn Mine Museum into that space. So that's their current priority. And unfortunately, with this particular grant, there's not a lot of wiggle room in terms of changing the project scope to do something else. So we're very limited in terms of how we can use the funding. And it's just not a priority right now to be moving ahead with that business plan. In the case of Area B, that Heritage Protocol project came as the result of conversations at the Intergovernmental Relations Working Group table with the Papetla Council. And at the time, it was that there was a question of a need for a heritage protocol to protect cultural heritage. And when this grant was developed, there was another project that was on the table, which was to look at developing a park on Texas Creek Road. And so the thought was that if we could develop a heritage protocol while working together with Papetla Council and potentially other Statlium communities to co-create and co-manage a park, it could be a potential economic development opportunity for the area. So when the application was submitted, that was sort of the angle that we took, because it was an economic development grant that we were applying for. And since that time, that Texas Creek Road park has been canceled. And I believe it was because initial outreach to Statlium communities revealed that there was really not much interest at all in terms of co-creating a park there. And also since that time, Papetla Council, their Elders Council, has actually developed their own cultural heritage policy. So the sense at this time is that it's not appropriate to be moving forward with a cultural heritage plan that would, or protocol rather, that is focused on economic development, because really the focus really should be on heritage protection. And Papetla Council has already created their own policy. So that's the background. It never feels good to return money. But in this particular case, staff and like I said, the area directors that we've had conversations with believe that it's the best course of action. So I think I'll leave it there for now, but I am available for questions, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jeanette. This is remarkable summary. Your notes are amazing. I was so excited at one point when we were talking about co-management of the potential park, and Papetla Council was interested, but things changed along the way. And Another concern that was raised was grizzly bear habitat, and indeed, we have bears down here now. And so it was in particular one chief that wanted that project shelved, and we certainly did shelve it. I'm thinking that we should ask for a presentation of the cultural heritage protocol that Papeglia Council has developed. I personally really need to be, I'm interested, I'd like to be informed about it. This group could ask for that, but that's a bit of a side shoot. Thank you for your presentation. Do we have questions from directors here? Seeing none, I'd like to make the motion that we recommend to the regional board that the Rural Community Development Grant funding awarded to the SLRD by the province of BC in 2020 for the development of a business plan for the Halemore Heritage Site in Electoral Area A of $10,000 and Heritage Protocol in Electoral Area B, also $10,000, be returned and the two projects removed from staff work plans. So moved. A seconder by Sal Demare. Thank you. Anyone opposed? That motion is carried, and I really appreciate all the work you've done on this, Jeanette. We'll have lots of other things to work on. We have lots of other things to work on. Okay. The next item, 6.4. We're doing pretty well for time. Is everyone okay? It's 10 o'clock. Is our round table. And we will, thank you, start at Area A. Director Demare and Karen Playfair, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Birch Jones. Well, we got the Prince River Valley Community Association has their building permit in place now, and the contractors have started some of the initial work on the Braylor and Pioneer Mines office renovations and improvements. And like Jeanette said, that's where the museum is going to go into. The museum will only take up 45% of that building. There's a complete plan, heritage architect work with the BRVCA, and that's what really got it moving forward. The fellow is fantastic, and yeah, we got a general contractor, and we're trying to use as many local contractors as we can. And it just happened that one individual that's just moved to Gun Lake has done demolition and heritage work on buildings. So that's really, really good to see it moving forward. That is going to be an economic driver for our community, having that, not only that building renovated, but you know, having the museum in it, so on and so forth. We're moving forward with the Area A OCP, and staff member Alex McKay is just doing a wonderful job. I've been working with her back and forth on it, and survey is out already, and an online survey, just to get some demographics and ask some questions on the policies. We're having the BRVCA is putting on a trade show at the Goldbridge Community Club this weekend, and I'll have a station there for the OCP. And she's actually made up some nice poster boards, where, especially on the policy side, where people will be able to use sticky notes and put them on. So hopefully we'll get a good lot of attendance. The next day at the Goldbridge Community Club is a community garage sale. So I won't have to put up the station again. It'll all be set up there, ready to go for 2 days of it. So it's pretty good. BC Hydro, as you know, is doing a major improvement project on the LaJoy Dam. And I was invited to a tour, we had a luncheon with about an hour and a half presentation, and then a tour of the up on top of the dam. And it was interesting. Most of the people that were on that tour never knew that back in the early 1970s to about 1980, before we moved to Williams Lake, and the Hurley FSR was drivable in about 1981. The dam was actually the road to get to Gun Lake on the old Hurley FSR road. The Hurley mining road. And it was definitely a four-wheel drive road. And you crossed one creek, Lone Grove Creek, on two logs, and people would have to guide you over it. It was quite the journey back then, but it didn't have any barriers or anything on it. It was just the top of that over a kilometer long dam. But it was probably the most interesting aspect of it is the cost of it. It's going to be anywhere from $600 million to $1 billion job. They were in the investigation stage when we toured it. They actually lowered it down to the lowest level I've ever seen it. And they had equipment down there digging at the footings on the water side to verify and doing drilling and verify what's below it all for all the work that they've got to do. It's going to be a huge project. It'll be started in probably 4 or 5 years, and it'll take about 5 years. And they can only work on it, especially the start of it, on the dam side in the wintertime when they can have it lowered right down again to do the work that they have to do. And so it's right down. They're starting to fill it up again. They're not letting any water out, and they drained the Carpenter Reservoir. And I took some pictures that I'll present at the board meeting in my presentation there. And you could actually see an old bridge and the old road sections that were when they were in the valley before they dammed it. It's incredible what it looks like right now. And you'll see those pictures if you watch that presentation next week. Yeah, so it's going to be huge, and they anticipate in those winter months that they'll have about 300 workers there. So the whole concept of, are they going to use a camp? Where are all these people going to stay? What communication services are they going to require? And the list goes on and on and on. So huge economic impact to our valley coming up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sal. And Karen, would you like to add anything for Area A or your corner?
I don't have anything to add. Thank you.
Maybe Karen, you can talk about Blackcomb Helicopter. Kayaks Adventures.
Yes, I was just trying to think when that timing, I guess that was subsequent to the last meeting. Yeah, so one of the larger employers in the valley, Kayaks Adventures, in the first week in April, sold to Blackcomb Helicopters, the McLean Group. So that's a big change for the valley, but the daughter of the previous owners, Bobby Douglas, continues to work as a full-time employee running the operation on the ground. And I think, it's a great match because the owners of the McLean Group have property in the valley at Gun Lake there. And plus, as we all know, Blackcomb Helicopters has a lot of local people here in Lillooet and in Pemberton. So yeah, we're looking forward to seeing how that continues on. But it's certainly a big change because Jane and Dale Douglas have owned that business since 2012, and they've had the plane there since before that, almost 20 years now. So yeah, that's an exciting new thing happening in the Goldbridge area.
Thank you. Director Weeb, would you like to talk a little bit about downtown Lillooet?
Okay, I'll leave the bank machine issue out. And the deer. There is an upcoming emergency management workshop taking place at our fire hall on Friday, May 31st from 9 till noon. Daryl Adrian from Lillooet Tribal Council will be initiating it along with our fire chief, Darren Oiki. The band councils have changed leadership, so it would be a really great time for people to know what's going on in the Statlium area and who's doing what. And yeah, so it's open to anyone as long as they let Darren know that they would like to come and participate in it. We had the official opening of the East Lillooet Memorial Gardens on May 7th. Was a great turnout. Unfortunately, I was ill and was not there, but it was a great turnout, and that was to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the internment camps. Like I say, and then they went from there over to the winery and had a reception there. Gosh, we had dignitaries there, which was really just amazing that we had dignitaries come to Lillooet for an event, like more than just Jackie Taggart and Brad Viz, right? Like it was, yeah, it was quite good. Let's see, this weekend they have the regular show and shine, but we also have drag racing going on at the airport. And apparently they have about 100 participants from all over coming, and they have totally rented our whole campground, which is great for the district. And apparently the winner gets a $10,000 pot. I'm just amazed that something this big has been organized to come to the little town of Lillooet. Hopefully all goes well and it brings others forward. That would be great. The Tourist Information Center has been moved and set up at the Miyazaki House. And as I haven't been down to visit it, like I say, I've been ill for about 3 weeks. This is my first week out, really out and about. So that's, yeah, that hopefully will turn out well. I'm not sure if they've moved the sign yet from the museum. Our museum is undergoing a few different changes there, and I know they are packing up properly some of the displays, and I'm unsure exactly what's going to happen there. That will be decided, I guess, in the future. And funding is always an issue with any of these not-for-profit groups. So yeah. What else? On another not so great note, our Lillooet ambulance is going through some protocol changes there and pay scale changes. So we don't have as many attendees and ambulances available to us, which is unfortunate considering they cover such a big area. Yeah, a really big area. So I think we have one full-time and then one's on standby, or at least we still have two ambulances. We have two ambulances, but one is fully out there and the other one is basically on standby. So I've been in conversation with Kim Ayers and then the new administrator there as well to see what we could do about that. What else is going on in Lillooet? It's hard to say when you're sitting at home sick and not really involved. I know there's been posters out there and I'm not too involved in it. And we've had some flack at the council table about that as well, just from constituents in the area that there's a Pride Parade being organized for the district, and it's actually being organized through Lillooet Secondary School, but due to, I'm going to call it protocols, I'm not sure what to call it, the teachers and whatnot cannot really speak out and promote and whatnot. So a couple of counselors have been kind of just sharing information and whatnot. And there are people up in arms about the District of Lillooet putting on a Pride Parade, which is not what is happening. We are just all inclusive, supporting everyone. So anyone who lives in the area or would like to put that forward, seeing as we're live streamed, it is not being organized or put on by the District of Lillooet or Mayor and Council, but we are all inclusive, supporting events in our area. And I think I'll leave it at that because you can probably tell by my verbiage that I'm a little cranky.
Thank you, Director Weeb. You don't seem cranky to me. I'm really happy to tell you that I was at the Miyazaki House a couple days ago, giving your new information person, Ree, who's absolutely lovely, some bird and bat checklists and guidance on the hiking and so forth from the naturalist point of view. And the garden looks spectacular. And so does the house. But I think Ree is a gardener, just by the way, as well as being very personable. And the house really looked as nice as I've seen it. Now, we don't have Lori here, so I have a couple of things. Maybe, Jackie, is there something you'd like to share at the round table? I certainly could turn it over to you first, and I'll follow up.
I don't have much other than I did think to mention that in Area B down my way that the industrial hemp operations seem to have moved out. I don't have a lot of information about that, just some local neighbors explaining that they no longer have the company working on their property, and it looks like they're the one that's closest to town is in the process of sort of cleaning up and moving out. Karen maybe knows a little, maybe has some more details, but I just wanted to say that's somewhat unfortunate, but maybe I did hear that it was, that maybe it was not something that was going to be long-term. I don't know. So it's a little bit unfortunate because I know some of the people whose properties were being leased or rented didn't get a lot of notifications. So I guess they're scrambling to move from that operation to maybe some hay at this point, and get some seeding occurring. And I think that's all. I just had some other questions afterwards. Maybe going back to actually Barb, I can ask you, I did hear that Marcy, your ED, had moved on. And so I just wondered for the Gold Country, whether that's in place. Do you have a new ED yet? And whether there's going to be, or there's a competition or something. That's it for Area B anyways from me.
Can I answer that, Vivian? Marcy has moved on. She is working at Horstings doing marketing and whatnot for them. And it was unfortunate the way things happened and her reason for leaving. And it was a miscommunication thing. But Brandy, who was working in the office with Marcy, is now the person to contact over in Gold Country. And we also have a second employee, Lana Ray. And they both are moving projects forward and grant writing forward. And it's, business as usual at Gold Country. I think their next big thing is the geocaching that will be coming up. And unfortunately, I don't have the dates on that, and I should have marked it down.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments on what we've heard so far? Just thinking from Area B, On other topics, Sal, I also had a tour from BC Hydro at this end of the system where they're going to be drilling a hole through the mountain and underneath Rochard Road to take the water from the canal into the Fraser River while they repair the existing structure that was built in the 50s. And they drained the canal and had the spawning channels closed to the public while they were doing that work. I saw the canal and it was down to just a very low level, bizarre, and just a couple of little green-winged teals swimming in circles around down there. It's filled right back up again and the harlequins are on it. And so the hydro guys mostly talked to me about how they were diverting water back into the spawning channels to keep those operational while the canal was shut down. And it's all very complicated and interesting. And yes, it's certainly generating activity and work, but I'm glad that the canal drainage is done and the spawning channels are back and open to us, because we do have, with the Naturalist Society, a BioBlitz coming up. And those are just beautiful places to walk that are close by in nature. And there's a lot of nesting bird activity going on there. We have a project, civic addressing. So in Area B, if somebody would like a sign for their property, the SLRD will provide that at cost. It has been identified in previous emergencies, such as, let's say the fire from last year, that we have a lot of properties in B that do not have really easy to find address locations. And so we're doing that as a service, and I'm really happy about that. There's also a project in the works about illegal dumping, and Sue Maxwell is a consultant with Eco something or other. Patricia, do you remember the name of the company? Out of Squamish. They did a very good job of the initial study, and the Pemberton Wildlife Association is very this company, and so that gives me a lot of confidence in the work they're going to be doing. And she's doing a scan right now and really reaching out and doing a pretty good job reaching out to different groups. So if there's someone that you think she should be talking to, I know she's already talked to you extensively, Jackie, and I'm really glad. Most of the people that I named that she should speak to, she had already spoken to. So I'm optimistic about the work that's happening there. I attended the Elris AGM, the LAFS AGM. This meeting that Darren and Daryl are setting up on the 31st of May for the morning, glad you mentioned that, Barb. I'm going to attend that. And it just popped up today on my screen, but it may be a way for me to sound out whether there's interest in the round table that we're also doing with Fraser Basin Council. I'm just wanting to have complementary meetings going on and not duplication and overlap and gaps. And there's a lot of energy going towards a wildfire recovery and attempts, and there's a lot of work to be done there. The Fire Smart program for over 65 that we've been offering through the SLRD, the district's been doing it too, but I just only care about Area B, of course, and the feedback has been phenomenally positive, like compliments coming out of the blue that people really are taking advantage of that program and having the people come in, do the assessment, tell them what needs to be done. And it's a Kelowna company that's coming over and actually doing the work, and they're very professional, very well equipped, and nothing but positives on that front. So thinking that's it from me. Yeah, anything else from anyone or any questions for me? Quiet on the screen. Okay. A motion to receive the roundtable discussion, I believe, is in order. from Barb. Thank you very much. Director Weeb, seconded by Director Demare. Anyone opposed? Motion carried to receive that report. We do not have any late business. Director's notion of notice of motion. Sal?
Yes, I'd like a future meeting, hopefully the next one, to review the mural board prioritization process that we went through and kind of get an update on the 3 items that were prioritized for the staff, and also review all the other ones that are all the other prioritized ones, and we can talk to where they're all at. So that we, more like an update of what's happening.
I think that would be really good. The timing on that is perfect. And I would so like to do that at an in-person meeting. I mean, it was torture to work on that on Zoom. And here we are. We may be able to actually meet in person. So noted, Patricia. I'm assuming that you'll have that in your notes, and possibly also consider the request for the Papeglia Council Heritage Protocol as a future topic, please. And do we need to receive that motion from Director Demare? I'm not sure, or just put it in the minutes as a notice of motion. I'm not sure the proper meeting procedure here.
Yeah, you could do either or, Chair.
Thank you.
My sense here from what I've seen is that we tend to have everything in motions,
We do.
but yeah, either or.
Okay, then let's have a motion to receive that notice of motion. We're in motion here. Okay, thank you, Director Weeb. Seconded by Director DeMare. And with that, I need a motion to adjourn. Again, Director DeMare and Karen Playfair, thank you very much. That's just great.